Well, welcome back to the Hurdle Podcast. Mock draft season as always. We're pumping them out. This is number 2.
2.0.
Yeah, so number 2 is going to be a fun back and forth. If you watched our first mock draft, you kind of saw how we broke down each of us with each player and all that. So go and watch that if you haven't already, because this one's going to be a little more fast-paced, and we're kind of just going to react as we go. We're going to alternate picks. So to do that, let's get a coin flip up.
Yeah, let's do it. That guy, there we are.
Okay,
Coin flip,
so
your call.
I'll go heads.
Heads. You want the 1 or the 2?
I want 1.
Yeah.
So that means
one
I will
is-
have
one
odds.
is
Bailey
definitely
will
an
have
advantage up here.
evens.
Yep. Let me get rid of that. All right.
No
Let's
free
close the
sponsorships, Coca-Cola.
We're not sponsoring Coca-Cola.
We're a
I wish
Pepsi
Coca-Cola
sponsor.
sponsored.
Okay, yeah.
All right, 1.
So that means I'll have odds. Bailey will have evens. I'm gonna shake it up early. Give me CJ Stroud number 1.
CJ Stroud will get 1. Yeah.
I just
Yeah,
think
I think that's Carolina's pick.
I think it has to be Carolina's pick. It can't be that big of a smokescreen. At some point you have to bet on a guy and stick with him, and I think that's gonna be Stroud.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 is definitely a weird position here, especially with the rumors of Levis going here at 2.
We can trade.
We are saying we can trade?
We can trade. We just have to agree.
We can trade.
So if you trade an odd, so you're even. If you want to trade to an odd spot, we just both have to agree on it.
Okay, I'm cool with that. Oh man, that makes it so much more different. I just when I look at these, some people really think like there's trade up potential. I just think they're too far down the board for any of these teams to really go out and get a quarterback. I mean, people talk Seattle at 5. I just don't see that personally. I think if there was a team to trade up, it would just be Indy and just to move up 2 spots. So I am gonna say Indy moves up to 2 here, and takes their guy. I didn't know we were doing trades. So Houston is going to trade with Indy, and we're just gonna swap 2 and 4, even though Indy would give up much more than that. So we're just gonna swap 2 and 4 for the purposes of this draft.
Yeah, exactly.
Because them, and then here, Indy has the pleasure of taking Bryce Young at 2.
I mean, yeah, smart. Go the proven guy.
Yep. And I the only reason I do that is I just don't think Houston is that high on Richardson. I think they're really high on Levis, and I know they don't like Young. So if I think you can just get Levis later down in the draft. Indy has to go get their guy. You go get the sure thing and Bryce Young and keep it moving.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna have Indy trade at the 3 with the Cardinals, so that throws a wrench in my plan. But I think Arizona is gonna trade the pick.
So
but
where?
It's to who? And I think a team later down the board really. I think it has to be a team on our screen.
Atlanta?
I'm thinking Detroit or Atlanta.
Detroit or Atlanta. Okay.
Let's do Arizona trades with Detroit. If you're okay with that, as the owner of the.
Yes, I am.
Okay, perfect.
I'm okay with that. Detroit and Arizona?
Yep.
Next. 6 and 3 swap.
Yep.
Oh, does Detroit get 18 in this deal?
You mean Arizona?
Or yeah, does Arizona get 18 also in this deal?
I don't think they do.
That's another one of my picks.
If you want, yeah, sure. Your call.
That is pretty hefty to move up 3 spots. You think that's what Arizona would be asking for, right? Though you got to be getting 2 firsts in this deal. Okay, 6 and 18 to Arizona for Detroit's pick now at 3, who they are taking.
Anthony Richardson. Let him develop behind Jared Goff.
Gotcha. All right. So I traded with myself. Houston moved down to 4, so Indy could take Bryce Young at 2. And now they take their guy in Will Levis.
4 for 4 on quarterbacks.
4 straight quarterbacks. It's just it. I understand the potential of Will Levis. I don't see it personally, but if Houston likes him that much, they're gonna have to take him within at least the top 6. So and personally, I think the only team I think realistically for me, which is why I didn't trade with Atlanta instead of Indy. I think the only other realistic team that I would trade up is Atlanta for me, but I don't think it's for Levis. It's for Richardson, and they would just do it at 3. So that's the only reason I made that 2-4 swap there. And now Houston gets their guy in Levis at 4.
Yeah, exactly. I was in between Atlanta or Detroit. I think Detroit has more value to give to Arizona, and that's what they're going to ride off of.
Yep. All right,
Copy and paste it. Copy and paste it. Jalen Carter, D tackle out of Georgia.
Yeah. Gotta be. And I'm kind of the same here. Arizona still gets their guy. They get Will Anderson.
Yeah, so they get an extra first out of it and keep their guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they need as many players as they can get on the defensive side of that ball.
Exactly. And then you sit there and it's like the Raiders need corner. We've given them corner in our first mock draft. But you have an edge rusher on the board.
Oh. Okay.
And pair up Max Crosby with Tyree Wilson makes a lot of sense. Wilson. So give me Tyree Wilson to the Raiders.
Interesting. Okay, Atlanta is in a really weird spot here. They need a lot.
Is this a trade down spot?
That's what I was thinking. Greg, this is also going to be like, this is all fake reality. That's why it's a mock.
Exactly.
I could see Bijan going here at 8. I might push the card there. If you guys watch mock draft 1.0, we had Bijan going to like 27 to Buffalo. That was solely based off team needs. I think this is a potential trade down spot. I would like to trade with Tennessee at 11. Are you okay with that?
I am okay with that.
All right. This might not make the most sense in the world, but
and plus they have the connections there with Arthur Smith, who was in Tennessee.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just gonna swap 8 and 11 here.
Yep.
For the simplicity of this video. And when we look at this, now Tennessee can go out and get the power offensive tackle that they really want. I think Paris Johnson's more of a second resort for them. And they're going to steal and jump ahead of Chicago and take Peter Skoronski at 8.
Very nice. Again, it was going to be copy and paste and give him Skoronski, but now you're making me look a little on the board here. I still think it's O-line for the Bears. You still got to protect Fields, your investment. So give me Paris Johnson Jr., give me the tackle that was at Ohio State when he was at Ohio State, and keep it rolling. How you doing? Keep it moving.
Yep. I think the Eagles keep their pick here at 10. I definitely don't think this is a trade down spot. Here you lose James Bradbury. So I think you got to go with one of the top 2 corners here. I know you lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I think just the advantage of having another corner to pair and learn from Slay. I want the most pro-ready guy here. I want Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois.
Very nice. Very nice. We go Atlanta here. You know, they traded down. They lost out on Tyree Wilson. Give him Bijan.
Bijan at 11.
I think he's such an explosive weapon for them. I liked Tyler Algier. I think he had a great year, but you have to be he had to have had a great year for me to go, they don't need to improve on running the ball. And Bijan's more than that. He's an elite pass catcher. He can go out in the slot for you. He can line up at receiver and get you catches. You saw it in the Bama game for Texas. And I think you take the best offensive player available here. I know we gave him defense in our first mock draft, but I love Bijan right now to Atlanta.
Yeah. Especially like Cordell's getting really up there in age. Tyler Algier is not the answer. He was pretty putrid, and especially in those first few games that he played. So when you have a running back prospect like Bijan, who's the most hyped since Saquon Barkley, you're gonna have to go out and get him if you really want him.
And they traded down, so they got value plus maybe the best player.
Yep. Houston at 12. This is not a trade down spot for Houston. I'm going to have the same pick here as we did in our first mock. It's JSN. Go out and get your quarterback or receiver to throw to.
Exactly. Bryce Young can't throw to Nico Collins.
Yeah. This can't happen.
13
Actually,
for the...
Will Levis can't throw to Nico Collins.
Oh my God, I forgot they traded and they got Levis. So Levis cannot be thrown to Nico Collins. My bad.
Yeah.
The Jets here, I really like the offensive line idea because we did that in our first mock draft. But I don't see Christian Gonzalez making it to past 13. And if you let him go past 13, the Patriots will probably take him at 14. So I think you do a classic Dallas when they took CeeDee Lamb and you go, we need a second corner. Let's go Christian Gonzalez, the corner out of Oregon for the Jets.
Damn, I was really looking at New England taking Gonzalez at 14. So now with these picks, there is still Van Ness here, who we had in our first mock. There's still Myles Murphy. There's now a tackle that you could move into guard, just have the most massive O-line ever with Wynn and Jones and Trent Brown. But I'm going to trade down here as New England, and I'm New England, and I'm going to trade with the Philadelphia Eagles all the way down at 30. We'll give them, it's going to be 2 firsts, but 14 and 30 for the swap. And we're going to make this deal here. The Eagles now have 14, and you got to replace Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. It's Brian Branch.
Dirty. That is.
He was just falling too far. It's the perfect trade down spot for the Eagles, and I get to trade with myself. So
exactly. So you don't got consulted. I would have approved it anyway, even though I hate the Eagles. And now they just retool their secondary. Great.
Yeah. So now you get Devin Witherspoon and Brian Branch both in the top 15 of this draft, and your secondary is looking fantastic.
And especially because most likely their first next year is going to be in the late 20s.
Yep. So exactly.
You really don't have to give up much. Green Bay, we mocked tight end. I still like tight end, but to be different, they got Christian Watson as a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give him Jordan Addison, receiver out of USC.
Okay.
I just think it's a good pairing.
I agree. And when we did the first mock, Addison at 23 most likely isn't going to happen. He's most likely going to be taken somewhere in the teens. So I like that addition of Jordan Addison there to Green Bay, even for Green Bay, not for Minnesota. 16 here. Washington needs a lot. I'm trying to see. Let me look here. Interesting. I'm trying to see if there's any trade options for Washington. Maybe just drop down and get 1 or 2 more assets that they can bring in, because there's no quarterback here. Running back is not an issue. Is line an issue for Washington at all?
I don't think it'd be a terrible pick.
I just think there might be a couple other teams with some heftier needs here.
I think if you're going to do a trade, I think Tampa moving up for a tackle would be really smart.
Oh, I was thinking Seattle for a tackle. Interesting enough. They did just draft Abraham Lucas, though, and Chris Clemens last year, and both were solid.
And Tampa lost Smith, right?
Yeah. They also need corner really badly, though, with Fuller getting really old.
I think if you're going to keep Washington, if you go corner, you go Banks.
You go Banks?
I
was thinking you take the Steelers pick and you snatch Joey Porter Jr. here.
Okay.
And I'm going to do that, I think. I think you take Joey Porter Jr. here at 16. You stay ahead of the Steelers, you take their pick, and it's just a solid corner that can really benefit your team. You have good safeties, and it's just those corners are getting really old, pretty outdated, and we're going to take Joey Porter Jr. there.
Ooh, so then you get Pittsburgh that needs a corner. Give him Deonte Banks. I think he's a very good corner. I think.
Interesting. I thought. Can I chip in something real quick?
Yeah.
I really thought you were going Jones there out of Georgia. because they need offensive line help so badly, and that offensive line is so bad
Yeah, I think that's very
that they could have
fair.
went tackle there. But sorry, go ahead on Banks.
I think they need corner, and I think
Mhm.
they're going to panic because Joey Porter went. They could trade down. I almost had him trade down with Seattle or Tampa, but then Tampa would have just taken the tackle. So yeah, you could have traded down with Arizona a spot, and they might have taken corner because they need corner, but
Yep.
they need corner in the worst way. Their O line is what it is. I think you can address that in the second round.
Okay. Yep. I agree with all that. Okay, now Arizona,
Who do we have them taking first?
Will Anderson. We had him trading down and still getting their guy in Will Anderson at 6. I'm gonna double down on the edge rushers and take Miles Murphy here. Um,
Okay.
I just you just want to pair as much young if you can assimilate as much young talent as you can in one of your specialty rooms. I just like that option. It's kind of like the thing with if you have a quarterback, you take a receiver. If you have one edge, you want to pair him with another dominant edge. And I like Miles Murphy's potential um, in Arizona, and you just got to generate pressure. Arizona has to start somewhere. You have a new DC and a new head coach who was a DC in Jonathan Gannon. So just take Miles Murphy at 18, and let's just watch those two work.
Hey, very nice. I thought you were gonna go Quentin Johnston there if they lose D Hop. I thought
Ah,
that was gonna be the move.
interesting. Interesting. Yeah, that definitely could work. I was thinking Kincaid too, with Zach Ertz um, nearing the brink of retirement. I think it's safe to say
Yep.
with his age. So I was nearing Kincaid there, but they took Trey McBride last year in the second round. It seems like they've
Yeah,
already addressed that issue.
exactly. I think it's Tampa and it's a tackle. I think it's Broderick Jones. I think losing veterans on the O line was a big loss for Tampa, and you got to recuperate that. So
Mhm.
I tackle. Give it to me.
Oh, okay. Seattle is tough here. Um, I just look at Seattle. I think corner help. I think potential trade down spot here, but that just because there's two corners here that they can work with. So then my first instinct is now who do they trade with? Um, the Chargers have needed run defense help for a very, very, very long time. Seattle could just move one spot, but I think with the Seahawks drafting Jalen Carter at 5, the Chargers know that they don't have to move up, and they can maybe still get their guy at defensive tackle if maybe Logan is leaning towards that position. Man, this is tough. I'm gonna
I
have
think
the
they could.
Giants trade up if that's
Okay.
okay with you.
Yeah, I was either gonna say them or Minnesota for a
Okay.
corner.
I thought Minnesota too, but they signed Byron Murphy Jr. We've been taking corners for a while now.
Religiously.
Um, actually, does this make sense?
I could see
I think
Cincinnati.
I have Seattle sitting on a guy. I think Seattle can be more flexible um, with their options. So I am going to do this trade if you're okay with it.
Yep.
Giants and Seattle making a deal 20 and 25, whatever. Oh, trade was declined.
Oh, ooh, I'm kidding. No,
Trade was
make it.
declined. How did all the other ones work?
Yeah, how did? Okay.
How did the swap for 3 and 6 work? 20 and 25. Propose, confirm.
Just
What is happening?
throw him a ton of firsts.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Have the Giants get the
We're
two
gonna make this
firsts.
work. This is ridiculous. The Giants are just coming in here ruining this whole thing. Let's see.
And then
The
yep,
Giants gotta go
Giants get the
another
first.
first. There we
Woo!
go. Jesus. Okay. Giants are going corner here. You got to pair someone opposite side of Dory Jackson. When you look at their secondary last year, what were those Philly games all about? They were just getting crushed through the air. Devontae Smith was torching them. So then it's just what corner do you take? I like Cam Smith out of South Carolina here.
Very nice. Very very nice. Ugh, the Chargers. I think, like you said, run defense is huge. I like the fit with Brian Breezy, but both tight ends are still on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you go the versatile threat of Dalton Kincaid out of Utah to give the offense more versatility and just to help Herbert keep growing. So Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah.
Dalton Kincaid, tight end out of Utah. All right. Ravens. Lose Calais Campbell. So you could go out and try and get a guy there, but the whole goal here is keep Lamar Jackson, I think. And to keep Lamar Jackson, you just got to get a wide receiver. I think Quentin Johnson just makes too much sense there for them.
Very fair.
Oh, you have my team. Oh, I have your team.
Yeah. So I could really make Bailey mad and give Minnesota a quarterback, but I don't want to do that.
Jesus.
But I think this is a prime trade spot for a team to get back up and maybe take a quarterback.
Okay. So Minnesota.
So Minnesota is going to... that's the tough one.
I really think there's only 2 teams that need quarterback on this list of who's left.
And it's not even a list thing. It's later down the board. Like second round.
So like from the second round up. Okay.
Yeah. So give me Atlanta.
Atlanta. All right.
I don't know what they're going to give up compensation-wise, but
44 in a first.
sure.
All right. Propose. No. Wow, that was decline.
Damn.
All right. Now my team's ruining it. Atlanta. 23. We'll just give them just absolute crap ton.
Exactly.
Oh, maybe I gotta do it the other way. That's why.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe that's why the last one wasn't working. I gotta do Atlanta first. This podcast was not supposed to be about me struggling with technology.
Very fair.
All right. So there we go.
Okay, so Atlanta moves up
23.
for a quarterback.
Who's the quarterback?
Show me the quarterback list.
It ain't great.
Give me Hendon Hooker.
Whoa. That's
I think
insane.
he could have a lot of upside, especially developing in Atlanta. Yeah, he can sit behind Ritter if you really want to, or you just commit to him.
All I gotta say is if we're getting 3 seconds and a first out of that deal for the Falcons to take Hendon Hooker, I will gladly accept that trade. 24. Jacksonville. I like Brian Breesy here, actually. Get some help on the interior of that line. I just don't feel like they went out and signed Sebastian Joseph Day last year from the Rams, I believe. And I just want they have enough edge pieces already. We kind of boosted their edge in the 1.0 mock. And I just want some more threat, a bigger threat on the inside of that line to help out Josh Allen and get Trayvon Walker really fitting into this defense nicely. So I'm going to take Brian Breesy there.
Very nice. 25, Seattle. Who did we give him first? Have they even picked yet?
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter.
And then I made him trade down with the Giants.
I think it's an offensive pick. I think they want to stretch the field. So give me Jalen Hyatt. Receiver out of Tennessee.
Man.
They need another speedster. I mean, they have the size, like we talked about off camera, that like DK has the size. Lockett can have the size, even though he's not a huge guy. You need speed. And they really don't have that third guy. Dwayne Eskridge was not the answer. So I think Jalen Hyatt could be a fun addition in the slot.
I agree. Okay, Dallas. I'm looking at these pieces here. I don't love them. You agree with me here? I actually want to hear some opinion here.
I don't think edges are a concern. Tank, Loris, and Micah are our edge.
I agree.
I don't think you need tight end. I think bringing in Gilmore means you don't need corner.
Yeah.
I mean, O-line's not It's never a bad pick to bring in O-line. Simpson out of Clemson as a linebacker could be smart, just because you don't know how long they're going to have Van Der Esch, or you can just trade the pick like it looks like Bailey's going to do.
We're shipping this pick.
Good.
Minnesota's getting back in.
Oh!
Minnesota's going to get back in here. So Dallas with Minnesota. Dallas is giving up 26. Minnesota will throw them probably whatever was required in the Herschel Walker deal.
Yep.
And we're going to do that. So now Minnesota's at 26. You can get your team back in if you want to.
He still finds a way to get his team. He still finds a way to make them his pick.
You can get back. I just broke the rules of the draft. That's all that matters. Minnesota needs a second receiver really bad. Zay Flowers is still on the board. It's Zay Flowers. It's like kind of like what we were saying with Jordan Addison in 1.0. Zay Flowers is kind of that style of receiver. He's really quick, really athletic, and just runs great routes. I was thinking about waiting and having New England take him and just keep the Boston guy in Boston. But I just like the trade up potential there with Minnesota. They just got a lot of picks in that Hendon Hooker deal. So this is your fault, Logan.
Hey, capitalize on capital, man. That's all I'm saying. Ooh, Buffalo.
God,
they don't need edge.
I think there's a clear pick here.
You think there's a clear pick? How clear is clear?
Pretty. You need a guy opposite Trey White.
I was leaning towards Ringo. So let's give him Ringo. I like that. Okay. Keely Ringo out of Georgia.
I don't want to influence your picks. I do not want to influence your picks.
It was either going to be corner or I was going to give him Jahmyr Gibbs because it's running back by committee.
Okay. Yep.
But I think Keely Ringo,
I like that.
He played at Georgia, played in those big important games. Some games he got exposed, some he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think you go off the potential.
I agree. Man, Cincy. They need so much secondary help, and we can look at the secondary right now. I'm not really feeling any of these guys here. I know Eli Ricks is just a speedster, but you can get him later in the draft. And safety, the guy is Brian Branch, and outside of that, there's no second option, really. So I'm thinking another trade down here.
You don't think O-line?
No, just because they went out and got O-line, right? Like we kind of like what you said in 1.0. They went out and got Orlando Brown. They went out and got Lyle Collins. They went out and got Alex Kappa, all of which are still there. And there's just, I guess there is one interior O-lineman that could be nice here. Was it Osiris Torrance out of Florida? I believe was his name. Let me just double check. Yeah, Osiris Torrance. He's the best. I just think you could trade down and still get that guy. Especially if it's in the top of the second round. So I look at the top of the second round, and man, I don't. Do you know who is at the top of the second round? There's Pittsburgh, and is it really just all the teams from the top?
Yeah, I think it's Pittsburgh, and then Houston,
and then
okay. Arizona, and then
Arizona is definitely interesting.
Four was who again? The Colts. They would still have that.
Yeah.
And then 5 would be Denver, and then 6 would be the Rams.
Okay, 5 would be Denver. Interesting.
I think.
Man, this is weird.
Denver would be a fun trade because they need edge help because they lost Chubb. They traded Chubb.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Cincy trading with Denver. Excuse me. And let's work that deal. Next, 28 for.
Whoa, maybe
they're not top. They don't.
Ooh.
Maybe they don't. Okay, what else could we do here? Let's just give Cincy guy. We're not gonna trade down. We're gonna give him Michael Mayer, actually, out of Notre Dame. Tight end was kind of my second option there. I was trying to just find secondary help, or there is still help on that interior line that they need, just to protect Joe Burrow. But no more Hayden Hurst. So I believe. So let's just give him a young tight end, let him grow with Joe Burrow, have a more well-rounded offense, and just let Michael Mayer work.
Exactly. There you go.
That was a
Ooh,
struggle pick. That was a struggle pick.
that was a struggle pick. The Saints, I think it's BPA. Cam Jordan's not getting any younger. But is it Van Ness? Nolan Smith's so intriguing just because he's a Georgia guy.
Yep. Or you draft the replacement for Demario Davis with Trenton Simpson out of Clemson.
But I think you could maybe trade up and get him second round.
Okay.
Give him Lucas Van Ness.
Okay.
Because I knew
I
that's
was
where
gonna
you're
take
going
him
with
to
New
New
England.
England. Yep. I was gonna easily the fact that the Patriots could trade down to almost 30 and still I think get their guy. Um I was hoping that would happen. I guess I could have tried to negotiate a trade up there.
Yeah, you could have.
Would you have taken that? Um,
Nope.
yeah, exactly. So
Maybe, I mean, maybe if for the right price,
mhm.
it could have been because then they get the consolation of Nolan Smith. But
I am gonna rock Nolan Smith here. Um, I just like that draft out of Georgia, and it seems like Belichick likes to go into the Georgia well a little bit. They drafted Isaiah Wynn there out of there, so when you can take trench guys out of Georgia, it's normally a thing that really helps your team. And I think the Patriots get a steal there with Nolan Smith at 30.
very nice. And then we go to 31. I think edge is a big need. I think they need
Mm-hmm.
edge. But we're going to play the hypothetical game.
Okay.
There's one player on that offense that's not getting any younger,
Okay.
and it's
Travis
Travis
Kelce.
Kelce. Give the Chiefs Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia. So
Oh
here's my
man.
thinking of it. It's not
Mhm.
necessary that Kelsey's getting any older or any worse. He's the best tight end in football.
Yep.
I think this allows Kelsey to be more versatile. They can put him in the slot, and Darnell Washington can either be the run blocker or another receiving threat.
Mm-hmm. And it does make sense to some degree. Like Andy Reid loves his tight ends. He runs Noah Gray and Christian Watson out there all the time. So, or is it Christian Watson?
It's something
I
like
think
that.
it's something like that. Yeah. Justin Watson. Justin Watson. Justin Watson. Yeah, that's the guy I was thinking of. Christian Watson's the receiver on Green Bay. He likes to run those guys in those three tight end formations out a ton. So might as well just make those formations even more powerful with Kelsey and just the monstrosity that is Darnell Washington out there. He's really like a 6 O lineman that can run.
Exactly, and you can catch.
Yeah, and he can catch. Yeah. Do we want
I
to do
think
a
it's
recap real quick?
yeah. I guess what's some big ones? What's one pick that you didn't make that sticks out to you that I made?
That I didn't make. I wanted the Patriots to get Van Ness at some point. That was big. The Hendon Hooker one threw me completely off guard. And the Gonzalez one, because I wanted New England to take Gonzalez at 14. So
So
New
really, I
England
screwed
missed
the
out
Patriots.
twice. New England missed out twice. And I
Perfect.
was thinking about working New England back up to take Van Ness, but the Patriots don't trade up. They just don't trade up.
Yeah,
So,
they're
and I
them in
was looking at the
Seattle. They trade
spots,
down.
the certain spots I was looking at. I think there were other teams that had more valuable assets to trade up, like New York, like the Giants to trade up and get Cam Smith, another corner to pair with Adoree, and really help out that secondary that really lacks on the back end, especially in the corner department. So I guess I would reframe the same question back to you. Is there one that you were missing out on that I took?
I think the Levis one is obviously like a whoa, but like they need a
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, so that's not too outlandish. I don't think
Yep.
you getting Skaronski before I could take him at the Bears was big.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you think
And
Tennessee
then
would actually trade up in that scenario?
I think they could. It's
Mm-hmm.
more of I think we both agree they're kind of rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'd want to give up those assets to move up,
I was
but
also just thinking about the Falcons taking Skaronski there. I think that's definitely also another option.
yeah, I
I don't know
think
if
I
the
was
Bears
with
are going to be lucky enough to get their guy there.
Exactly. And I was looking like, if a lineman starts falling, maybe Atlanta does, but I mean, you can't deny Bijan. I just think that was
Hmm.
such a clear and obvious one. And then maybe further down, let's see. I mean, Branch was an obvious pick. I think you snatching Joey Porter from me
Okay.
for Pittsburgh, because I think in that situation, Pittsburgh might panic and still take a corner like I did. But with Broderick Jones still on the board, that could obviously be the pick. I think they do
Hmm.
need help on the offensive line. So I think those would be my ones that jump out. I think the Giants moving up is a great trade up spot
Hmm.
for them. With who did they trade with again? They trade with Seattle.
Hmm. Yes, yes, Seattle.
And then as a Cowboys fan, I mean, Dallas trading out. I mean, I'm not going to be too upset about it. They're going to get
I thought you
capital.
were going to trade him back in.
I thought about it, but there wasn't a player I sat there and I go, yes, that's what we
They
need
need
to.
that.
That's what we
I agree.
need. Like
I think this is
obviously,
an.
like D tackle would have
Go.
been nice.
Hmm.
Obviously, that's what I want him to do. I think O line would have been a smart, but like nothing crazy was sticking out to me on the O line except Osiris
Hmm.
Torrance out of Florida, and I don't think you need to start planning with life without Zach Martin quite yet.
Yep. Yep.
So
I
I think,
agree.
yeah, them trading out is fine with me. I think getting the capital is more important right now because I mean they made moves this offseason to win now by bringing in veterans.
Hmm.
So this is punting it down the road, and eventually when those veterans are no longer there, then they're in great draft capital for the future.
Yep. I agree. Any more recap that we're thinking of off the top of our head?
I don't think there's anything crazy. I think the only other one is I don't think there's any way the Texans will trade with the Colts just because it's they're trading up for a quarterback and it's within division.
I think if the Panthers take Stroud at one, I think there's a real chance that the Texans do end up trading two. I don't know about the Colts exactly. I actually I enjoy the Colts prospect though, just because Houston still gets to stay in the top four. Indy gets their guy, and if Stroud is taken at one, Indy can still get Bryce Young, and who Houston isn't very high on. Houston still gets their guy. It just works out for both
I
sides
I
pretty nicely.
I guess that is fair if you look at it that way. And Houston doesn't like Young, they can go, oh, we'll stick it to the Colts. We'll give them Bryce Young kind of a
Yep.
deal because it's
Mhm.
too tantalizing not to.
It's
But
definitely tough since it's in division though.
yeah, I mean, you don't see a lot of those in divisions. I mean, last one was Minnesota when they traded with Detroit, and Detroit took
Mm-hmm.
Williams.
Hawkinson. Oh, I thought you were thinking of the Hawkinson trade. Yeah.
Oh, I was meaning more draft
You're
related,
talking
but yeah,
draft. Yeah, draft. Yeah, gotcha.
by trading for Jamison Williams. So I mean,
Yep, trade for Jameson Williams. Yep.
I think yeah,
Um. Yeah, I think there could be a really. I think Philadelphia has a chance to be real. Okay, let's do this. Two teams that we think could be really aggressive here. I think Philadelphia has the chance to be really aggressive here. Go out and just get guys on that secondary that are going to be great for low capital. You don't hurt your cap space at all. You can still give Jalen the contract the next year, and you go out and just make another Super Bowl run with that awesome team that you had last year. I think Philly has a really chance to, which is why I traded all the way up from 30 to 14 to take Brian Branch. I just think it's a perfect fit.
yeah,
And there's no other safety in the class that can do what he does. So I think Philly for me can be very aggressive. Um, I think another team for me that could be really, I think the Raiders have a chance. Um, I think the Giants might have a real sneaky quality to them here to make one or two moves that shoot them up the draft board here.
do you think that gets them like
Um,
top to get a top corner?
Yeah, to get a Gonzalez or to get a Witherspoon. I think more particularly in my favor, a Witherspoon. Um, just a pair like Adoree was awesome last year. Then outside of that, you're running guys like Fabian Moreau out there. They're not guarding anyone when it comes to the receivers, especially in that division. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, CD Lamb, um, and Terry McLaurin. So you have to have coverage on both sides there. And I think the Giants trading up to get a corner could really help because their other main need is linebacker and inside O line help. And there just really isn't much of that in this draft. So they can use um, a little bit of capital, and go out and get a superstar young corner.
Yeah, for sure. I think one other team that could be aggressive that we don't see normally aggressive is Seattle. I think
Seattle.
having the capital that they do at 20-5 could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I still think they can sit there and get Jalen Carter, but you've seen all the selfies with all the prospects, with Pete Carroll and the prospects. They're doing their homework on these quarterbacks. So there's, I think, a real possibility they could find a way to keep 5 and trade 20 in like their first next year and something else.
And work all the way up to have like 5 and 6.
Yeah. Or even jump and trade with Houston if Houston's not in love with any of the quarterbacks, really. Because they still, I think, of any of these teams right now that we had trade up other than the Lions, the Texans would be the most fine with sticking with a quarterback because they have Davis Mills.
Interesting.
Because I don't think Indy wants to rock with Ellinger. Carolina definitely doesn't want to rock with Andy Dalton.
No.
So,
which is why they traded up to 1. So
exactly. So I just think, other than Detroit moving up, I think Houston could look at it and go, let's punt it down the road and not tank necessarily, but have the chance to get either a Caleb Williams or the kid from North Carolina next year.
Drake May.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Yeah, that was actually a really fun one. I like the hypothetical. I didn't know we could trade. I thought we were just gonna alternate picks, but the trading really threw a loop in there.
I like to throw loopholes at the last second.
Yeah, that was a good idea. So that's mock draft 2.0. 1.0 hasn't been released yet as the time of us recording this. It will be released fairly soon, probably by the night of the 16th. It'll definitely be out by the time this one comes out. So there's that. There's the NBA podcast that is already out. That came out the morning of the 16th. And then if you guys want to know anything about the future of the Hurdle podcast, you can always go back and check out that first video we dropped. It's just a content update on kind of the future of what we're doing here. So shorter episode, but that's kind of what we've been gearing for. Follow Hurdle Podcast on Instagram at HRDL Podcast. We post every time we drop an episode. So that's just another reminder. Turn your notifications on too. So you get notifications every time we drop. So then you have 2 reminders. You got a backup plan.
That's what you love as a college
for when these things come out. Yeah, gotta have backup plans. So like the video, all that jazz. I'm not gonna worry you guys with that, but that's it. Mock draft 2.0 in the books. Bailey, Logan, we're out, guys. Peace.